Those wild, huge trucks. Your friends could even compare your height to the size of their tires. It's hard to imagine how something that heavy can be brought to a safe stop. Trucks, huge commercial vehicles like semis, carry tons of cargo, sometimes weighing over 80,000 pounds when fully loaded. So, how do these giants stop efficiently without causing chaos on the road? The answer lies in air brakes, a system specially designed to handle the extreme loads and stresses these vehicles face. Air brakes are essential for safety, reliability, and performance in the world of large vehicles. But why exactly do trucks use air brakes instead of the hydraulic systems you find in smaller vehicles like cars? You will be surprised at the number of uses that tiny piece of equipment carries. So let's break down the reasons. But briefly, for those who don't know what air brakes are and how they work, let me explain in simple terms for you. Air brakes are a powerful braking system designed for large vehicles like trucks, trains, and buses. If we notice a car, it stops very fast. This is because of the brake it uses. A car uses hydraulic brakes. In other words, we can just say it uses fluid to stop. But for trucks and buses, it takes a bit longer to stop. That's because in place of the fluid in cars, it uses compressed air. Here's how they work. The engine powers an air compressor, which pumps air into storage tanks. When the driver steps on the brake pedal, that compressed air travels through the brake lines, pushing the brake pads or shoes against the wheels to create friction and slow the vehicle down. What makes air brakes special is their fail-safe design. If the system loses air pressure, the brakes automatically engage, making them incredibly reliable and safe for heavy loads. If you want to know more about air brakes, like and subscribe. More videos will be dropped on this. Now to the main topic, why do trucks use air brakes? 1. Durability and reliability under heavy loads. This has a purpose for it being first on the list. One of the primary reasons trucks use air brakes is because of the heavy loads, and at the same time without losing braking power. Hydraulic brakes use brake fluid to transmit the force from the brake pedal to the wheels. Though this system works perfectly only for lighter vehicles, it has its limitations. In a large, fully loaded truck, the sheer weight puts a huge pressure on its braking system. Hydraulic brakes can be overwhelmed by this pressure, especially during long descents or emergency stops. The brakes can overheat, causing brake fade. That is, a condition where the brakes lose their effectiveness due to excessive heat. And we don't want to hear the end of that story. This can be catastrophic if used in a truck, which requires more force and distance to stop than a smaller vehicle. Now, looking at air brakes, on the other hand, it makes use of compressed air, which is much more robust and consistent under heavy loads. Since air doesn't degrade or evaporate like brake fluid, the brakes can function reliably even under extreme conditions. The air brake system is designed to generate the massive amount of braking force required to stop a truck carrying tens of thousands of pounds. 2. Fail-safe design for safety. Yeah, this was already mentioned earlier. Shows how exceptional and fascinating that piece of property is. Another significant advantage of air brakes is their fail-safe design. This is where air brakes truly shine compared to hydraulic brakes. In a hydraulic system, if a leak occurs in the brake lines, the brake fluid can escape, and the brakes will eventually fail completely. In a truck, that kind of failure could lead to devastating accidents. You may ask, why do hydraulic brakes not come with a fail-safe? Though not part of the topic, let me answer that question to quench your taste. Well, the answer is something you have heard countlessly right from the beginning of the video up until now. Fluid. Air brakes in trucks default to applied via springs, and the air pressure is used to counteract that when the brakes aren't applied. So in the failure mode, if pressure is lost, the springs apply the brakes. Car brakes are the opposite. They default to unapplied, and the brake lines use fluid pressure to apply the brakes. So in the failure mode, if pressure is lost, you can't apply the brakes. Why the difference? Of course, commercial vehicles may have engine brakes and drive shaft retarders, and sometimes their brakes do still fail anyway due to overheating or not being adjusted properly. But they try to fail safe by default, and cars have emergency parking brakes. But the main brake system by default does the opposite of trying to fail safe. So, in other words, air brakes are designed to fail safe. If there's a loss of air pressure, the brake system applies the brakes as a safety measure, preventing runaway trucks in case of failure. This feature alone makes air brakes incredibly valuable for the trucking industry, where safety is always the top priority. 3. Power supply independence. I bet this was the last reason that came to your mind. For cars, if you want to brake, it relies solely on if you put pressure on the brake pedal, which is transmitted through brake fluid to the brake pads or shoes. But this only works for smaller vehicles. It would be nearly impossible for a driver to generate that much pressure to stop a fully loaded truck with hydraulic brakes. Air brakes, by contrast, rely on an external source of power, an air compressor driven by the truck's engine. The compressor builds up the air pressure, which is stored in tanks and distributed to the brakes as needed. This means that the driver doesn't have to apply enormous pressure on the brake pedal to generate braking force. Instead, the air system amplifies the driver's input, ensuring the brakes respond with the necessary necessary strength. This also helps reduce driver fatigue, since the brake pedal in an air brake system requires less effort to operate, even though the braking force it generates is much higher than in a hydraulic system. And when you enter that truck, next you will step out is in an hour or more. So there you have it. These are the 3 main reasons why trucks use air brakes. Though not all, others includes because of its better performance over long distances, its simple and scalable design, and finally, it doesn't need high maintenance. So in summary, trucks use air brakes because they are the most effective, reliable, and safe braking system for heavy-duty vehicles. Air brakes can handle the immense weight of trucks, operate with fail-safe features that prevent dangerous brake failures, and perform consistently over long distances and varied conditions. Their scalability, durability, and ease of maintenance make them the perfect fit for large trucks, especially in an industry where safety is paramount. If you are navigating steep mountain roads or cruising down the highway, air brakes provide the stopping power that allows trucks to operate safely, keeping both the driver and everyone else on the road protected. Please don't forget to click that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed and benefited. It will go a long way in bringing interesting content like this for you. Thank you for watching.